I am ready to take a victory lap on the Bradley Beal to the bench thing. I know when I say big three, it frustrates some people. I'm more speaking to Nacho in the chat, but just an easier way to say KD, Booker, and Bradley Beal because everyone knows who I'm talking about. But I think it more so goes to this level. I had mentioned almost a year ago, Bradley Beal's role is Malik Monk. Come off the bench, get buckets. That's all we need Bradley Beal to do. This idea that he needs to be a playmaking, defensive stud, all these things is crazy. That's not how he fits. And Bradley Beal doesn't fit on this team. It's too much redundancy. Or I guess I should say he doesn't fit in the starting lineup. And I said for almost a year now, send him to the bench. And it wasn't this quirky fanboy take of, we'll just have more firepower on the bench. He doesn't fit with Booker and KD on the starting five. It's too much redundancy. It's too much ball sticking in the hands of one player in particular at a time, not just a singular player, but at a time. Beal just works better. And what have we seen over the last couple of games? 3 for 4? 3 for 4 in the last few wins? And it leads me to think this, and here are kind of some of Beal's stats during this time. I'll have to remove the logo for you guys so you can read the whole thing, but Bradley Beal to the bench, the second unit has skyrocketed from 24th in scoring to 3rd in scoring. That making a lot of sense because now you don't have to worry about him getting buckets. This idea in the starting lineup that this team needed to score more points was never the case. So I'm ready to take the victory lap on that being one Bradley Beal and him going to the bench. And then it leads me to this. I know everyone wants to trade Beal, and I talked about this last night on Locked On Suns. If the Suns can get Butler and Nick Richards, like, yes, of course, you have to do that. And I talked about it yesterday as well. But I find it a little frustrating, and I get it. The Suns want to move on from Bradley Beal. I get it. He doesn't fit all the reasons before, a little too much redundancy in the starting lineup, plays better off the bench. You have a Jimmy Butler player who is trying to force his way out of Miami. And it does turn me off just a little bit that he's not willing to go anywhere else but Phoenix. Phoenix is not a great situation right now, guys. And so it leads you to believe, how good is this guy's judgment if he thinks he's smarter than everyone else? Memphis is in a better spot right now. Other teams are in a better spot right now. And as I believe his name is Sandman520 in the chat has said, the center is the bigger issue right now. And I couldn't agree more. The center issue is a bigger issue than what the Suns have right now. But we just have to call it what it is. Butler has been a little bit of a prima donna, and the Phoenix Suns are trying to reward that by bringing him to Phoenix. Like that has worked out well the past few times with superstars trying to come to Phoenix. And push Bradley Beal out the door, who has been a good soldier, who has done everything this team has asked him to do, take more threes, play better defense than Devin Booker, become just a playmaker, and then at some point when that wasn't working, send him to the bench. He's done all of that. He might not like it, but he's done it all. Jimmy Butler is making subliminal messages to the Heat's general manager, Pat Riley, at his coffee shop. So, this idea that you want to just shoo off Bradley Beal and bring in Jimmy Butler just it doesn't feel right. Feels icky, if you're looking for a better word. This team needs leadership. It needs culture. It needs stability. What it doesn't need is another prima donna star to take the place of a player who has done everything being asked of him. Do you think Jimmy Butler would go to the bench? No. I always thought Bradley Beal would. I didn't think he'd like it, but I thought he'd do it. And I feel like just trading that guy off, who on the bench has been a new player, rejuvenated. The defense is more balanced. The offense in the starting lineup is way more decisive. Like, there is an argument to be made that this new role for Bradley Beal surpasses that being of one trading for Jimmy Butler. And then also, in the same breath, using those assets that you do have to go get a Nick Richards. To, I don't know, I saw something today where like Lonzo Ball could be a guy. I don't know how in the world they would make that happen, but a guy like Lonzo or whoever it is. So I think just pushing Bradley Beal out the door, just to push him out the door, who has been a really good soldier, feels a little icky. And I really want people to look at the Jimmy Butler thing that's going on right now and at least say this. It is a little eye-popping that he won't go anywhere else. It is a little eye-popping that he wants to go to Pheonix so badly. And it's what kind of goes back to what Windhorst said a few weeks ago, not on this show, but I played it on this show. It's all about money. Jimmy Butler, I want him here because he seems like a leader. He brings a decent amount of culture, stability to this team. But, I mean, let's just be fair. Butler's judgment hasn't been great. And it was reported that long before this, the Miami Heat were starting to grow a little tired of that being one Jimmy Butler. Do the Suns need more issues right now? Or do they want to stick it out with the guy who's been the good soldier, who's went to the bench, has lifted the Pheonix Suns scoring off the bench at 24th in scoring at 30.5 per game to now third in the league at 45 points a game? It's just hard for me to push that guy out the door when you see what Beal has done. So it's just hard. The Suns still trade for Butler. I get it. But it does come with some warning signs. And that's a good place to kind of go with this is trading for a bunch of different players doesn't ultimately mean success for this team. Listen, I like Butler and I like what he brings to the Heat and leadership and culture. But, I mean, let's just call it what it is, guys. It's been a bit of a distraction. And Brad Beal has been anything but. There's one way to go about these issues, which you're not happy with your role, you're not happy with whatever it is going on in your team. There's two ways to go about this. You can go the Jimmy Butler route and make things all about you, which he wants his money. I can't blame the guy that much. Subliminally send messages to the general manager at your coffee shop. You have just all these issues, right? And then there's the Jusuf Nurkic way, where he's complaining because, and I was a Nurkic defender at the start of the year because I believe he wasn't all the issues for the Pheonix Suns team. I think ultimately the big three is why the Suns team hasn't been as good as they should have been, is because they have not been great outside of Kevin Durant for most of the year. But you have the Jusuf Nurkic role where he's upset because the head coach didn't talk to him and coddle his feelings before benching him. Sorry, lost that word for a second. But benching him. Really, dude? You need to have a conversation with... Here's the conversation between Bud and Jusuf Nurkic. You're not very good. Sit your ass on the bench. That's the only thing that goes for Jusuf Nurkic. Allegedly, they didn't have a conversation with Beal, and Beal's at least paid like a star. Needs to be coddled a little bit, talked to a little bit when it comes to his role on this team. He said, I wasn't talked to. Said he's not going to be a distraction. Said he's not going to be a bleep hole. That's the way to go about it. It's not the Nurkic way. It's not the Jimmy Butler way. It's not the, even though I fit the needs of your team, Jimmy Butler to the Pheonix Suns style. do I become a distraction? Beal hasn't done that. And it does beg the question, are you just better off standing pat? And I don't think you're necessarily wrong if you think that's the case, and allocating your and I want to say that again, very limited resources to something else. So that's where I would stand on the Bradley Beal, Jimmy Butler phenomenon.